Labour Congress Joe Ajaro declaring that organised labour would not go on strike tomorrow regarding the current new minimum wage dispute with the government. Given the reason for the decision, Ajaro said Labour would not go on strike yet because the figures are currently on the table of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the feedback is being expected. The NLC president made the decision known while speaking on Monday at the International Labour Conference taking place in Geneva, Switzerland. Citing examples of previous administrations, Ajaro said it is still possible for the president to increase the proposed figure before him. However, he called out governors who have declared they can't pay the proposed 62,000 naira new minimum wage, which is currently what the federal government is offering, and labeled them as lazy. He disclosed in quote, "How can any governor say he cannot pay? They cannot also be calling for the decentralization of the minimum wage. Are their wages decentralized? Governors whose states are not contributing a dime to the national purse and who generate pitiable internally generated revenue are collecting the same amount as governors whose states are generating billions of dollars into the FAC account. They should decentralize their salaries and emoluments first. So, where is the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, getting his money from? He is paying 70,000 naira minimum wage. This is a type of governor that should be emulated and not the lazy ones," end quote. Elsewhere, the correspondent chapel of the Kano State Council for the Nigerian Union of Journalists has announced a boycott of all engagements involving the Kano State government, starting immediately. This development ensued after the chairman of the chapel, Aminu Akbar Garko, called for an emergency Congress meeting today. Members of the chapel are experiencing strained relations with the Aba Yusuf government, alleging that it favors non-professionals over qualified journalists. The chapel urged all its members to adhere to this directive and participate in the protest against the mistreatment of journalists in Kano State. The correspondents unanimously reached a decision in response to the ongoing and intolerable mistreatment of chapel members by the state government and its representatives during the execution of their duties. In another development, Ohaneze Igbo Youth Council Worldwide, a prominent Igbo social cultural group, has expressed support for President Bola Tinubu's government and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The group advocated for electoral reforms through the National Assembly while rejecting any involvement in planned protests targeting INEC, urging those behind the plot to abandon it. Also, the group advised the Labour Party's candidate in the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, to accept the election results and move on. According to Daily Post, a group, the South Unity Youth Coalition, declared plans for a large-scale demonstration on June 12, Democracy Day, to call for the ousting of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu from his position as chairman of INEC. The coalition alleges that Professor Yakubu's leadership has significantly undermined the integrity of Nigeria's electoral system. Meanwhile, Peter Obi, you would recall, in his Saturday response to South Africa's presidential election, reiterated his claim that the preceding general election in Nigeria was marred by fraud and widespread irregularities. Well, Ohaneze Igbo Youth Council Worldwide National President Mazi Nnamdi deplored the persistent vexation of numerous Nigerian politicians on the 2023 general elections, calling for their cooperation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government to propel the nation forward. Nnamdi expressed concerns that, and I quote, "Instead, what we have continued to see is that politicians and some of their paid agents have continued to fan embers of discord in the country owing to the outcome of the elections. We have said for the umpteenth time that there is no perfect election anywhere in the world. Our appeal to our brother, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, is to accept not just the outcome of the election, but the verdict of the apex court in the land, the Supreme Court. In the case of the 2023 election, without sounding bias, it is a wrong conclusion for anyone to say that INEC performed woefully," end quote. A Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has affirmed that 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who defected to the All Progressives Congress are still members of the People's Democratic Party. Justice Okogbule Basam of the Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt stated today that the claimants were unable to demonstrate that Martin Amawule and the 26 other legislators had switched to the APC. Justice Bassam emphasized that party membership is established through being on the party's register or possessing a membership card, stating that televised events or verbal declarations were insufficient proof. The PDP had requested to be part of the case and was included as a fourth defendant. Additionally, Justice Bassam emphasized that the Rivers State government must adhere to all laws enacted by the Assembly, since the members are still part of the PDP and their inclusion in the party's membership register is a determining factor. He also mentioned that the state government must follow the laws created by the Assembly, since the members are still part of the PDP and have not forfeited their positions. Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has clarified that the State High Court did not declare that Martin Amawule and 26 others are still members of the People's Democratic Party. The State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Dagogo Iboruma, a senior advocate of Nigeria, made the clarification in a statement in Port Harcourt today. He noted that the purported report was misleading, stressing that the information is meant to deceive the public. According to him, as a third defendant in the suit in question did not seek to declare the seats of Martin Amawule and 26 others in Rivers State House of Assembly vacant, adding that the suit was struck out on issues of jurisdiction. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We took a very short break. When we return, we're heading to more news analysis. And of course, I'll be joined with Barrister Fred Nzako. He'll be helping us to divert some of these issues. Do stay with us. Welcome back. This is still the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. I'm being joined with Barrister Fred Nzako, who is a political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Fred Nzako, good evening and thank you for joining us on the World News at 6.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Barrister Fred, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has actually urged the Abuja Federal High Court to jail the director of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Bichi, over his refusal to adhere to the court's ruling regarding his visitation. I'm sure you know that on May 20, 2024, the Abuja Federal High Court granted an order modifying the conditions of visitation to Kano in the DSS detention facility. So, there are Nnamdi Kanu is actually disclosing further through a notice to the Abuja Federal High Court. His lead counsel, Aloy Ejimako, is stating that the DSS Director General had refused to comply with the orders of the court, and he notified the court in a notice that it is important for the court to immediately ask for DSS Bichi to be jailed. He noticed that Bichi and the federal government as respondents said despite serving the DSS boss had refused to obey the orders despite being served, and they have asked the court to immediately implement the imprisonment notice. Barrister Fred, do you think that's possible?
Well, it is an executive rascality for any organ of government or part of executive organ of government to continue to undermine the pronouncement of court and to flagrantly abuse and disobey court orders, lawful court orders. It is not acceptable. And as much as in practical terms it might not be easy to bring the DG of SSS to be committed to prison on account of disobedience of court order, but it sends a very wrong signal about our seriousness with the doctrine and the concept of rule of law. Because nobody ordinarily should be above the law in a democratic environment.
Barrister Fred, just hold on a little bit. So this is the scenario, right? Just last week or 2 weeks ago, the court has actually stated that Bichi may be imprisoned because of contempt of court, because he has refused to adhere to the court order requesting for Nnamdi Kanu to have his visitation rights. That's one. Now, this is the second time Nnamdi Kanu, just today, through his lawyer Ejimako, they are insisting that what the court told DSS Bichi the last time should be implemented immediately. But the reason why a couple of netizens and critics like yourself believe that that court order may not actually hold is because this is not the first time the DSS has been asked to either present him or actually relocate him or grant him his visitation rights. Now, I want you to remember that not just towards Nnamdi Kanu too, other cases in time past, high-profile cases. So the question a lot of netizens are asking is there a different constitution created for the DSS that overrules the 1999 constitution? Is there a hierarchy that they occupy that is completely different from whatever court, whatever orders that emanates from the court towards them? There needs to be a differentiation for us to understand precisely what that means.
The answers to your questions are very obvious. We don't have different constitution or different laws in Nigeria apart from 1999 constitution and as amended.
Okay.
And every organ of government created by that constitution operates under the constitution. Every organ of government created by Act of National Assembly operates under the Act. And as a matter of fact, the DSS and other agencies of government are creations of either the Constitution or National Assembly, and they must operate within the law. What happens is that people in authority flagrantly abuse court processes.
The question is why, Barrister Fred? Why within this democratic dispensation? Why is that so?
I want to urge the courts to defend their integrity in so many ways. One, anybody who disobeys court order should be charged for contempt of court and should be committed to prison. And if that is not possible because of the fact that the SSS wields instruments of destruction by way of the ammunition that they carry, because they are the ones that brought Nnamdi Kanu to court. The court might decide not to hear SSS matter anymore, because the court can protect itself by way of official protest by saying, you brought this fellow to court. We have given an order and you have refused to obey my order. In that case, I will no longer give you hearing in my court.
Okay.
And that case, the court can now order that the accused or the defendant be discharged and acquitted. In that case, it is a sign, it's a protest sign that the accuser is only not obeying the law. The accuser does not want to get justice, but the accuser just want to punish the accused. That is simply what it means.
Barrister Fred, let me read out something. All right, I want to read out something to you.
In this matter,
all right,
must be respected.
So Elijah Makori is saying that on every visitation made to the applicant, that is Nnamdi Kanu now through his lawyer, they're the ones applying that the DSS DG should be imprisoned immediately because of contempt of court order. Well, they're saying that on every visitation that the applicant has, anytime his lawyers have to appear in court, that they deny them writing materials. That's what they said. They said they do not allow the applicant's counsel to go in with writing materials to take notes of their discussions, and that the applicants and his lawyers cannot even they don't have any proper structure, any material through which when they are going through their defense mechanism in court, there is nothing to put it down. There's nothing to table it down. But beyond the fact that there is no privacy within that, within that enclosure. So
those are clear cases of abuse of the fundamental rights of the citizen. A citizen that is presumed innocent until found guilty, a citizen that has not been found guilty, and the law provides that anybody who is charged to court should be given ample opportunity, every opportunity to defend himself or herself. Now, if the SSS does not provide such opportunity, what it means is that the SSS is undermining the provisions of the Constitution. And in a manner of speaking, the leader or the head or the DG of SSS was appointed by Mr. President. And Mr. President has every authority to sack such a DG that is undermining the Constitution.
Well, is there a possibility that would happen? Is there a possibility that will happen in relation to this case?
To uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
And any of his delegated authorities that does not allow him to uphold the Constitution must be given the way out. And that is where the buck stops on the table of Mr. President.
There are other issues too in line with this particular situation, which of course Nnamdi Kanu had to, express himself in regards to what was written to the court concerning the DSS DG. For example, they say that the room with which his counsel visits him is not clean, very unsafe, hygienically unclean. That's what they also said. They also mentioned interdiction, seizure, perusal, and photocopying of legal documents relating to the trial preparation of the applicant. So, they seize whatever documents are brought in relation to the case from the applicant's perspective or from the applicant's personal enclosure. Then also all the documents that are being brought in, they photocopy it. So the question now is the fact that the DSS almost has access to all the defense strategy that the team and the person they're defending, that's Nnamdi Kanu, they have access to all their defense mechanism and defense structure. So how is it possible for them to win the case against the federal government if already the DSS has access? They're privy to actually look through all of this, because that's basically what was written on this particular notice to the court concerning the fact that you're insisting that the DSS DG should be imprisoned.
Even with all those antics of the SSS, Nnamdi Kanu still has been winning in most courts, and that is why you can see the other time that 9 judgments from 4 from Nigeria and 5 from outside Nigeria asking that Nnamdi Kanu be let off the hook. They have been brought to the table of Honorable Attorney of the Federation. So even with all those antics, the SSS is still not winning. But those antics really are not good, and that is why Nnamdi Kanu and his lawyers have asked the court to transfer him to the correctional center, which of course is the most natural thing expected to be done. And I can tell you, in all honesty, that I do not know why the court has not given such order that Nnamdi Kanu should be removed from the SSS custody to the correctional center. I do not know why, because in most cases, once an accused has taken his plea in court and has pleaded not guilty, the accused is taken to the correctional center. The SSS is not the appropriate place. The detention center is not the appropriate place to keep somebody who is going to court undergoing trial.
All right.
And that is why most discerning Nigerians and the international community have asked the court to be firm and strong enough to order, give a strong and valid order, and insist on its implementation that Nnamdi Kanu be taken to Kuje Correctional Center. He has applied for that, and he has given every reason why the court needs to do so, because the SSS is undermining his capacity to stand trial and to defend himself, which in itself amounts to injustice.
Barrister Fred Nzako, can you recall when Justice Aruola, during a workshop, part of his retirement speech, he's very soon going to retire. Now, one of the speech he said at that time was the fact that the judicial institution has been balkanized. And he mentioned one of the reasons was the fact that politicians threaten judges, while he was asking the judges to remain firm and resolute in the decisions they make. Now, this is another scenario that we're actually having to experience with the case of Nnamdi Kanu, for example, and other similar cases. Let me throw your mind to a recent development, and that is concerning the one of Rivers State, where apparently the court in Rivers has actually stated, the particular high court in Rivers, no location of the court, but the court there actually affirmed that 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who defected to the APC are still members of the People's Democratic Party. In the same Rivers State, a court the last time declared the seats of those defected lawmakers vacant. Now they are saying that these particular lawmakers, they're still members of the PDP if they had verbally declared. According to the court's explanation, according to Justice Bassam, he emphasized that the Rivers State government must adhere to all laws enacted. And another thing is the fact that party membership is being established through being on the party's register or possessing a membership card, stating that televised events or verbal declarations were insufficient proof. So these lawmakers that openly said that they are no longer members of the PDP and defected to the APC, that the fact that they said it on national television or it was said verbally does not hold sway, so long as they still have their membership card. So the same court in Rivers State giving two different judgments. What exactly is going on, Barrister Fred Nzako? What have our judicial institutions become in the hands of our politicians? Barrister Fred, are you there? Can you hear me? Barrister Fred Nzako, can you hear me? Barrister Fred, can you hear me? Oh, we seem to have lost connection with Barrister Fred Nzako. I really need him to help explain what transpired in Rivers State today. It was quite confusing. And the reasons that Justice Glassam gave was the fact that the defected Rivers lawmakers only mentioned what they said, verbally on national television. It doesn't necessarily qualify that they are no longer PDP members. Barrister Fred, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but I lost a lot of what you said.
I'm talking about the Rivers State court ruling today, where they said that the members who defected to the APC are still PDP members. And according to Justice Glassam, it is because those members still have their membership card. They still possess their membership cards and their names are still in the PDP's register. The fact that they televised on television said they had defected does not hold sway. What exactly is going on with our judicial institutions? That's the question I asked.
Well, the judiciary has always been receiving unnecessary and undue pressures from politicians. And that is why we ask the judiciary and the officers of the court to be firm in their adjudications and not to be swayed.
Barrister Fred, I want to remind you that this particular case in Rivers State is a very sensitive one. It's very sensitive. In Rivers State, the last time, the court stated that those seats were vacant. We were expecting INEC to rerun a new election, a fresh election for those vacant seats. Now they are saying that these persons are still PDP members. So what does that classify? Does it mean these seats are no longer vacant?
It depends on what are the issues before the court.
Well, according to the go ahead.
The people themselves declared that they have left PDP.
Yes.
They by themselves declared. And I think they also even wrote the party and say, because of the challenges you are having in your party, we are no longer members of your political party. We are decamping to APC. It is very obvious now. And it was not done in the dark. It was done in the broad daylight and broadcast nationwide and internationally. Now, how can the membership of a political party is not compulsory.
But according to the Justice Glassam, he said that party membership is established through being on the party's register or possessing a membership card. That televised events or verbal remarks are insufficient proof.
Not all people who are members of a political party can present party political cards. Not all people. And what is important is that if you have declared your interest to become a member of a political party, you do so publicly, and then you are now approach the party to be given some membership cards. Some parties don't even have exhausted their cards, and some will now wait until after their convention, they will now decide and print some cards. So card holding is not the only condition for you to confirm who is a member of a political party or not. And it is not the duty of the court to insist on somebody being a member of one party or the other. It is the duty of that individual to decide on which party to belong to. Because political party is an association of people. It's a free will thing. You enter freely and you go freely. And the moment you say you are belonging to this party, it is taken for granted that you are there. And the moment you say you are no longer there, then you are no longer there. Someone like on weekend has said he is still a member of PDP, even though he is working hand in hand with APC. Yes, but he said so. And nobody can force him to be a member of APC. the 27 gentlemen who left PDP for APC, nobody can force them to belong to PDP. They have willingly opted out of PDP and joined APC. So it is very curious that the court will insist that they are still members of PDP. And that is why many people believe that the report coming out may not be exactly
what it is. The state government actually tried to make that clarification. But the thing is, they clarified that the court did not declare that Martin Amawule and 26 others are still members. But that the fact that the clarification in the statement is that the purported report was not verbatim, that it was misleading, that the information is meant to deceive the public, that the suit in question did not seek to declare the seats of Martin Amawule and 26 others in Rivers State House of Assembly vacant, but that the suit was struck out on issues of jurisdiction. So where would that report be coming from? Who would have put that report together without considering all of this due process in place?
Politicians can bring out any reports. It's until you see what exactly the court says that when you will know exactly what the truth is. Well, because if you now rely on what the politicians have said, you possibly will be misled, and that is what the government is now saying, that it was a misleading report. Because I do not understand how there was a judgment or a pronouncement by another high court of Rivers State that said those gentlemen are no longer members of the House of Assembly, that they have lost their state. And now another court is purportedly said to have renewed their membership. The court does not renew membership of a political party. The court does not compel anybody to belong to a political party. It is you that feels that you want to belong to a party that should make that declaration and they follow it up with some steps.
All right.
The men have made the declaration and they have followed it up with a step of the campaign fully on the floor of the legislature from PDP to APC. So whatever report that is now coming out needs to be viewed thoroughly before you know the exact truth, because politics and politicians can sell monkey for you for the price of a baboon.
Wow, what a phrase. Barrister Fred Nzako, thank you so much. I would have loved to ask you more questions, but we're out of time. I sincerely do appreciate you giving us more insight into some of these issues being read out on the World News at 6.
Many thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, and that was Barrister Fred Nzako having to shed more light on issues on the World News at Speed 6, specifically with the fact of Nnamdi Kanu having to ask the court to imprison the DSS DG, considering the fact that he has actually been accused of being in contempt of court. And of course, the Rivers State saga is still ongoing, and that's what Barrister Fred Nzako is trying to shed more light in. Well, to wrap up the World News at 6, here again are the top stories. NLC declares not going on strike. Journalists declare media blackout in Kano government activities. Ohaneze Youth Group declares support for Tinubu, INEC and rejects anti-INEC protest. Court declares 27 defected lawmakers still PDP members. That's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for listening.